Just pull it out. Pull it out.
There we go.
It's kid height, sorry.
Hi, I'm Matt Novak, and I've been up here since the year 2000. Nice segue from what he just said is community involvement. I didn't know this event was happening until this morning when I saw an email from Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, which I thought was great. And it's nice that they sent it out. LA Unified would have been nice if they had sent it out. LA Unified somehow manages to send me 3 phone calls a week, but you know, it'd be nice.
And I'll kind of take the blame for that because, you know, we this is all kind of put together last minute.
Okay.
So I don't fault the...
So maybe that's a good thing. I mean, if you did it last minute and
You
we
got
found
the
out
email,
today,
though.
hey, that's good.
Thank you for coming here. And
Yeah.
it's
No,
good.
I would like to see a better turnout. I think that was mentioned earlier.
That's part of the last minute thing. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, well, to bring it back to, I guess, your main issue, that's traffic. For example, my son went to Castle Bay, so I'm very familiar with Castle Bay, and the very close calls that we had when I was there, near misses of kids getting hit, and it is going to take a child being killed before LA Unified actually steps up. And so one of my concerns is why doesn't LAUSD and or the City of Los Angeles pay for a crossing guard or pay for the additional LAPD drive-bys? Because LAPD would every once in a while would bring a big issue, and our principal at the time would get LAPD to do a little bit more driving by, giving out some nice tickets that all of a sudden gets people to stop driving like maniacs. But that's what it takes, is getting LAPD to show up more often and getting maybe a crossing guard. As a member of PATH, we paid for our crossing guard as a volunteer. I don't know if they still have that at Castle Bay, but we did that. We got the money together and we paid a volunteer to do the crossing guard. So, I mean, but that's pathetic. You shouldn't have to rely on a parent-teacher organization to do that.
A couple things I wanted to mention. Assad is here. He's on the neighborhood council, and he is chairing our safety committee, which is newly formed. So they're having a meeting tomorrow, and I would encourage you to attend if possible. It's going to be here, but these are some of the things we're trying to work together on. And I wanted to mention, you know, we need to hear it from you guys, from the community, from the parents, and then figuring out solutions from there. You know, it requires a lot of involvement and pushing, because nothing is going to happen easily, as you see. It takes a lot of time to get, you know, these things done. So I'm glad you got the email, and thank you for coming. Is there any other?
Yeah, I had 2 other quick things regarding traffic. I think a fact that many people don't realize, especially those who don't live in the older part of Porter Ranch, there's a very simple reason why you're being asked to drive all the way to Frost. It's a very simple reason. And that's because as a bird flies, it's a very short distance. Because there was in 1965 a plan to put a bridge across Cessna and go across the canyon. And we have blocked that effort time and time again whenever it's suggested. Once it was suggested about 5 years ago at a Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council meeting, and we all booed and hissed and told the person to sit down. Because nobody wants to have a bridge go across Cessna. But LA Unified is still living in 1960 map. They think that there is a bridge going across anytime day soon. And I'm sorry, but that's the stupidity of the map system at LA Unified, and I think you really need to revisit that when you do your traffic studies. How much excess traffic, how much extra risk to my child, how much extra carbon footprint is being generated by me driving 2 miles down the hill, 3.5 miles over to Balboa, 2 miles back up to Frost, versus just taking a 3-lane highway called Tampa down to Lassen and I'm done. I mean, Jesus, that's common sense. I'm sorry?
Or Cessna to Pierce, yes, that's really short, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even shorter, but I realized that this was a miniature version of a middle school and not a real middle school. So, and then the third question, I'm sorry, but you were talking about high school. I know that's not your main focus of today, but with all your projections, you didn't really talk about projections in the neighborhood for generating high school students. If we live in the Castle Bay area, so therefore we are in the Granada Hills, do you know, and maybe this is out of your purview, but do you know if the maps for Granada Hills High School are going to change for those of us who want our child to go to Granada Hills High School, because we know it's better than most LA Unified School District schools, and I'm concerned that, you know, it gets changed. So I just wanted to know if anyone has any information regarding Granada Hills mapping, if in the next 5 years that they think that might change due to traffic and study and population studies, which seems to be your expertise. Okay, those were my questions. Thank you.
Well, as I explained about Frost Middle School, we are very much aware that Cessna does not go through. We're very much aware that families in the Porter Ranch area have to go down to Rinaldi, then up Shoshone to get to Frost. It is a matter of maintaining balance of enrollment between our schools. It's that simple. We've looked at the possibilities of making that kind of a change, and it just doesn't seem like it's not feasible for us to do that. With regards to Granada Hills High School and a boundary change, but Granada Hills doesn't have the authority to change its boundaries. LA Unified doesn't have the authority to unilaterally decide to change Granada Hills High School boundary. I do not believe, well, at this time, there is absolutely no discussion about changing the boundary for Granada Hills High School or what it was before it became a charter school. Nor do I think that there is any indication, nor do I think that there's any desire to change the boundary for Granada Hills High School. No boundary change for Granada Hills High School.
Perfect, thank you. Susan?
Oh, this is for the safety man. Is he coming back?
Let's see.
Yes, he's coming back.
He is, okay, so,
Well, let's see.
I have a
Should we-
question if you don't want to wait.
okay.
Did you were wanting to say something about?
No, you said it already.
Oh, about the committee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can ask my question when it comes. So we all know about the big, gas leak and gas blowout. So my question was, what did LA Unified learn from that experience? And if it happened again tomorrow, what would they do differently?
Maybe Uncle wants to take that.
It's a good question though, yeah.
And we did have an audience, I appreciate some of the questions that came in before this meeting, and one of the questions we had was about school emergency.
Here it comes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. All
It's
right.
a question for you, sir. And both of you, thank you. We're a tough crowd, so thank you for coming and answering our questions. But my question was, after the last blowout, I think we learned a lot about the safety of our kids. And so if it happened tomorrow, what have you learned and what would you do differently? If I called your school again Monday, the way I did last time when the blowout occurred Friday, I call your school Monday and I say, Porter Ranch Community School in Castle Bay, as I did, there's a big gas leak. Do you know about it? And the answer was no. So how would that change? How would your protocol change, and what have you learned if it happened tomorrow?
No. First of all, this is not an on-site issue. This is an off-site issue, and it's controlled by the regulatory agencies. So they have the lead over it. As far as the gas leak goes, when we thought or decided it was going to be unsafe or unhealthy, based on the different community concerns, the regulatory agencies, that's when we decided to relocate the schools.
So would you do anything differently at all next time? No?
Probably not.
So, I had one question, I had a question that was submitted prior, and they were asking about school emergency response plans. I'll open this up to anybody, and it kind of ties into what Susan was talking about. Is there any, given the locale to the police of Canyon. Is there any emergency response plan in place that has been developed subsequent to this blowout that we experienced? That anybody's aware of or would like to speak of?
You know, each school has a safe school plan. And the safe school plan is supposed to address different issues within the school community. So there's a shelter in place if it's an air toxic issue, and if kids are at school, then they would shelter in place. If it's civil unrest, again, depending on what the situation is, there's what we call a safe school plan, and it's supposed to address the different issues.
Did they shelter in place during the gas leak?
Could you use the microphone, please?
I said, did they shelter in place during the gas leak?
I don't think,
It was dependent on the situation. The challenge was initially with the gas leak, remember, we didn't have the filters and things in place. And so it was getting the information on what was really the safest alternative. We did bring our kids in, but we do it all the time as the safest alternative. I know, I can speak on behalf of Mrs. Littlejohn, we've adapted our safe school plans so that we do a shelter-in-place version of, let's say there's a toxic situation or hazardous situation, what do we do? So the kids know, we had one recently that we had a drill immediately now, because we have kindergarten kids on campus, we don't say gas leaks, we try to make it not scary. So for us, it's there's a bear on campus, and so how do you handle it? The kids know immediately go to the closest indoor location. They go to that location, the teachers do roll call, we tally for kids that are missing. They're really good at it. We got it down to a little over 3.5 minutes, but we're at 10-acre campus with middle school kids too, so it's a pretty good system. I know Ms. Littlejohn has been practicing something similar for Castle Bay, but we've got it down to a solid routine. Some of our questions have been things like, if you're close to the bathroom, you just go in there and working on those bumps, but that's the way we've handled it.
So to me, it sounds like you did learn and that you're doing different things, so thank you. I really appreciate that.
Well, and especially we've been working with our safe school plan, we've added additional drills that we didn't have before, so that our goal is safety. We're responsible, we've got 1,100 little bodies I'm responsible for and 60 staff members, so.
Thank you for
adapting.
adapting.
So you can ask myself or Mrs. Littlejohn, we're glad to show them to you. They're huge, but we're glad to share them with you.
Thank you so much.
To speak, Ms. Melvin and her staff have done a great job of thinking about all these things, so.
Good, I'm glad, because that was a real wake-up call, so thank you.
Tremendous.
Thank you.
Tremendous, and ominous responsibility.
I would recommend that for some reason, and it's not like that happens again, let's not jump to the conclusion with the school, please. Let's actually let the parents weigh in a little bit more effectively.
It genuinely wasn't jumped. There was so many factors involved.
We know that survey wasn't accurate. We would like more actually input that's accurate.
Hopefully we don't have to cross reference.
I really would.
Let's keep it shut down.
Right.
Okay, and just so I can get the second part, and then if you step up to the mic, it'd be nice. The other part of that was, the question was regarding air monitoring. And the education committee did discuss this, and we decided that we were going to, try and keep it down to the demographics primarily and the traffic safety. But this is another thing that we hear over and over again regarding air monitoring, whether it be, there used to be air monitoring here.
They just
Oh, it is.
moved the location.
Oh,
It's up by the Columbus.
Okay, we're really happy, to hear that. But, there's other means of air monitoring. For example, we had a gentleman come, there's a backpack that they have that takes, readings for methane levels. It's a portable device. And, we've discussed this in committee, but is there any thought of that? Because what happens is you have an odor complaint, for example. Somebody smells something, rotten egg smell or whatever. It would be nice to have a tool that could analyze that immediately.
so our office does have tools to go out and monitor the air.
And if you could elaborate on exactly what you can monitor, what kind of tools you have.
We have 4 gas monitors, which typically monitor for hydrogen sulfide, hydrocarbons, oxygen levels.
And are those portable monitors?
Correct.
Okay, so that's nice to know. So that if there was an issue of odor at a school, then and is that part of the Safe Schools plan? If there is an odor, that's
We
kind of what the
came
community wants to
out
know.
during the gas station, we used our handheld units. But typically what you want to do is you actually want to use a sume canister or that type of equipment so you get an accurate type of reading.
Do you have any dedicated equipment up here? Or is it sitting?
Do we? No, we do
No.
not. We do not.
The AQMD.
The AQMD is monitoring and the health department's monitoring.
Yeah, there is an air monitoring station on the campus here, and I believe one.
There was one at Castle Bay and.
I don't think there was one at
I
Castle.
mean, those of us who
There
have
was.
lived here for 20
There
years,
was.
you know, it's not a new thing.
And then, if we have time, we'll come back to you, but this gentleman hasn't spoken.
As a parent and a resident, I have one question. Aside from defaulting to LAFD, LAPD, and their leadership role in a time of evacuation, with the limited avenues of exit and entrances to Porter Ranch, what is LAUSD's stance on that? How would you evacuate over close to 1,000 kids that are in school at that time during a crisis?
They would typically be bussed out.
Which avenue?
The initial plan, the most direct, is to go down Mason, because it's the largest highway.
And the secondary?
The secondary would be, of course, to go Cezanne down to Porter Ranch Road, but if anything were happening, my assumption is I'm not going to want to go that way.
Right. So you're going to assess the best avenue.
And we've got connections with our local schools to get buses here as closely as possible.
When does this information get to the parents?
If we were to evacuate,
No, the plan.
the plan, it's in our safe school plan. We can definitely share that. with
That's a
you. It's
public document.
It's a public document.
I'm sure you can Google it. but-
Absolutely.
Well, you can Google anything
Or
now,
you can
right?
email me and I can send it to you, if,
Okay.
you know, or
Okay.
whichever.
Okay. That was never discussed nor ever explained in a public meeting.
So thank you for coming. Now we got it out. Michelle?
So yes, that's a big concern, is how quickly we can evacuate. So were you here for the 2008 Cessna fire?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, Rena, were you?
I was living in Granada Hills,
Okay.
but
So from what I've heard, my daughter wasn't at Castle Bay at the time, but it was quite a fiasco. Were you there at the time, 2008? Cessna fire? Yeah, to actually evacuate 800, I think it was more than 800 kids at the time to evacuate. There's some video footage out there on YouTube of what the kind of chaos that happened at that time. So that is a big concern, how quick we can get buses up to these schools. And it just comes back to the bottom line that both of these schools are overcrowded. We shouldn't have 800 kids here or 1,000 kids here without a really good plan and a quick way to evacuate them for two big reasons. The fire dangers here are huge. And then, of course, you know, we all know what happened with the gas blowout. So as far as Castle Bay goes, we need to go back to looking at reducing our population size to get into that little tiny neighborhood and get all those kids out quickly for a fire. We had that experience before and it was a really bad experience. One way to reduce the population, I want to ask you about, Rena, you mentioned earlier, we talked about Castle Bay has 100 students that are non-residents, but those of us that are at Castle Bay can tell you there's a lot more than that are non-residents that are there illegitimately with false addresses. What happened was a couple years ago, they hired 2 years ago an attendance counselor to address that problem. They do have they have new procedures in place now to ask for a 3rd level of documentation, so that has been reduced a little bit. Those people still get around it, and they still work the system and have their false leases and so forth to get in. But you mentioned that, what is the rule to, what we understood is that when the attendance counselor came in, they were not allowed to look at existing students' records to research those students that were there falsely, because they were established, was the word. Once they're established, now Mrs. Chum was still here, our vice principal, but she's not here anymore. Once they're established students, that's it. So they weren't able to look at the existing population. So what is the rule on that?
well, I'm not sure because I'm not an expert on that. But it's my understanding that they are able to go back and look at the legitimacy of when that student enrolled. There's a service called LexisNexis that will validate through real estate records whether or not somebody lived at the address that they're claiming. So where in the past it may have been difficult to look at a student who enrolled 2 or 3 years ago using LexisNexis, you are able to go back in time and look and see if that student was legitimately resident. And if not, then I know that there are schools who have then advised the parent that you will not be able to return the following school year. As a way of really sort of addressing the issue of a parent overcrowding from the resident population. So but again, that's not my expertise, and I don't know why an attendance counselor would have said we can't look at past records.
Yeah, that's, I don't have the answer exactly, but that was
maybe
just
I'll try to
frowned upon or
help us
something.
on this question regarding what the appropriate avenues would be.
So we're at 8:15. We've still got a lot of open questions. I understand that. No one's going anywhere.
That's
No, I'm saying that were brought up in this meeting and ongoing.
Okay, yeah.
With your education committee and taking these issues as we go forward, we can drill down on issues at Castle Bay specifically, at Porter Ranch specifically, the broader questions of the district and how it's responding to facilities and enrollment issues. We're not going anywhere. This district is an institution that has been here for the benefit of the public for a long time and will continue to be there. And you have my promise on behalf of School Board Member Schmerlson, who cares, who pays attention. We will continue to work with you to address these issues, make everything as transparent as possible. We have great people who will come out after work and answer your questions. Thank you. You have great principals like Ms. Melvin and Ms. Littlejohn at both schools that are here every day, showing up and doing the work. And as she did in the middle, she addressed. They did learn from these issues. They have been working on these things. And we have other LAUSD staff. Fortunato right here. He's part of the facilities branch and he's been intricate in the classroom addition project. So there's so many different resources and things that we have brought to bear just for this one meeting, and we will continue to do that to support the community and make sure that your questions, concerns are addressed, maybe even bring you back from private school to public school, because that is what I think my goal is, working with School Board Member Schmerlson, and I know he is as well. Thank you, Jason, for putting this together and hosting. I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Yeah, these are very specific problems. The bottom line is Castle Bay is very overcrowded. We need to look at the boundaries, the population problems there. Seriously, I wrote this in October, and it was given to the principal, to Brad Smith and others, and it has, and I sent it to you today, Jason, it has suggested solutions on here from 7-8 months ago. But, a couple minor things. Thank you, Brad, you took care of extra cones and some things, but really, nothing's been done or addressed or even discussed, so I appreciate Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council so much for having this meeting, and let's get serious about this, because just one parent volunteer trying to do this, and I wrote this all up. I'm not paid, I'm just a parent, so we need our paid employees, we need our principals, we need, yes, to jump in and help more with that. I can only do so much as a parent, but now that we know we have a little bit more power, we can get maybe some more community members together to address these issues. So thank you for taking this on. We appreciate it. Quick question on, you mentioned you're going to have a crossing guard coming in August.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't need to use the speaker because it's not that many of us. What is that covered under? We won't want to Castle Bay.
The challenge has been the city. So we put in a survey, I applied for a crossing guard. The city came back and said, oh yes, you warrant the need for a crossing guard, but the city didn't have the money for the crossing guard. And so, quite candidly, we've got new building going on, and so I was able to add it in the contract with the new builders that I wanted a crossing guard for our safety while we've got new building. So that's how I was able to make it work.
So is that going to be a temporary crossing guard or?
My logic is I'm going to go to Mr. Englander's office and say in 2 years' time, okay, I've had a crossing guard for 2 years, I need your support to keep my crossing guard, because it's only fair.
So it's covered through the city.
No, right now it's covered through the new building project.
Builders are paying for it.
But once you establish something, and here, because that's one of our big worries, is that people run that light or they put donuts in the center. No neighbors would do such a thing, but outside people come and do. So it's so much of it's the city, because we can't control it.
Right,
what's
that's
so
what we
hard.
found out when
Yeah.
we crossed
You
the
just,
river.
for us, it's just keep fighting with the city. Brad's been wonderful. He's gone up against them so many times, but we keep trying again. He gave me letters again that we sent to try, so we just
Thank you. I
keep
think
begging
it's
against
Little
them.
John on the same page with you.
Yeah, no, it's
Helps
just,
to fight like
We're
consistent
going back to
fighting.
Castle Bay, just so you know, Michelle. We're gonna meet with Linda in the next couple of weeks at Castle Bay.
And that's part of the education committee, why we have, both members from both schools on there, so we can learn from each other and work together to get the best solutions to both schools. I just want, Assad, can you come up quickly, talk about the safety committee meeting tomorrow, and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Good evening, everybody. Well, tomorrow we're having a totally different meeting. It's going to supposedly, and that's the first meeting tomorrow, to address traffic issues in all Porter Ranch, and we're starting, of course, with the school. Some of you know me, some of you don't know me. I work for the city of LA for almost 28 years now. My specialty is transportation, major projects, and some minor traffic lights here and there. My colleagues in the Porter Ranch board figured, okay, now you're stuck with the
Now we
traffic
got it.
and safety committee. So tomorrow we're going to have the deputy city attorney, LAPD, and LADOT, and we're going to try to find some alternative solutions and all that. I work on the Vision Zero for the past many years, even when it started actually even before Garcetti. And I've done a lot of the safe routes to schools. So Mason has been a challenge. Cessnan is a challenge. We've been pushing for median on Cessnan for almost 7 years. Cameras is a no-no because of LAPD. I have cameras, I have the technology, it can connect in 1 hour. But liability. So hopefully tomorrow with the deputy city attorney is there. Because I managed with the deputy city attorney to get a lot of cameras in CD7. In Pacoima and Silmar and all that. So I'm trying to bring the same pack here tomorrow and try to sort of start with this one, the troubled Cessnan, where we have racetrack every day. And we'll take it from there. And for me, this evening, I learned a lot of the problems, and hopefully tomorrow this will be the first agenda item that we'll address. I'm familiar with both campuses. My eldest went to Castle Bay, and my youngest went to this school. So I know the traffic hassle and the parking, and you had to walk and crosswalk and all that. But I'll try to find some through challenges through the funding. We have a new budget. It has a lot of allowances. It has a lot of leeway. So, and maybe we'll get what you're getting through the temporary construction to be a permanent. So,
Thank you, Assad.
thank you.